Good morning. My name is Megan Schlick, and as a naturopathic doctor, I am very well trained in the proper use of dietary supplements. If you take a supplement, if you have a chronic health condition, if you're on a prescription medication for a long period of time, or you're just not feeling your best, this lecture is going to get you thinking. You're going to hear some helpful tips and things to talk about with your provider. If you happen to be at home, go run and grab that multivitamin or a dietary supplement that you take. You're going to find it useful to have that label in front of you. So as a naturopathic doctor, I know that the dietary supplement world is not regulated enough. I do talk about it to patients as the wild, wild west. The growth of the dietary industry has been huge over the past 20 years. The FDA does not have the funds or the manpower to fully oversee all the different supplements on the market. But I do know there are certain checkboxes that manufacturers can go through so that I have the confidence that that product is of high quality. So you're gonna learn some of those today. And checkboxes that you as the consumer need to understand to go through before you stay in a supplement for a long period of time. Please know, dietary supplements should only be used as supplemental. You have to put the highest attention on the role your diet could be playing. You gotta think about your sleep habits, exercise, healthy relationships. A supplement is not powerful enough to erase those bad habits that people might be doing. So if a supplement promises to make you thinner, smarter, stronger, or faster without making other changes, don't buy it. I commonly will get my trash can out in my office when I'm meeting with patients and just say, just throw it away, it's not worth the money. So my main job is meeting with patients face-to-face, going over their health history and figuring out how they can feel better. And so these are questions patients have regarding supplements. Do I need one to stay well? Does price matter? Which calcium supplement do I take? There's 10 on the shelf, which one do I grab? We're gonna talk about calcium a little later, so if you have that at home, go grab it. Or this is a popular one that I commonly hear. I have high cholesterol. I don't wanna take that statin. What can I take instead? So those are questions that are not as easy as you think to answer. So what supplements are the most popular? This is a Consumer Lab 2019 survey of about 10,000 participants. It's in lists from 1 to 10, so the top supplement of last year was vitamin D, according to the survey, with B12 being number 10. When I look at this list, it feels pretty safe. These are not products that you're gonna see on the no-no list of problematic supplements. But things jump out at me. You know, is that person on the right magnesium form? What is their dose of vitamin D and how do they know that that's the right dose? Probiotics. Are they taking it at the right time, especially if they're taking an antibiotic at the same time? So kind of questions that I have when I see these patients coming in, because this list is pretty spot on of what I see patients coming to me on. So when we look at other data, we know that about 52% of Americans take at least one of these supplements, and about 31% of adults take a multivitamin, multimineral. Women are more likely than men to take a supplement. So when determining if you're gonna benefit from a supplement, I think of this three-legged stool. Do I have enough indication to take a supplement? Is it safe for me to take that supplement? And the safety thing is fresh on my mind. I've recently seen a patient who had a blood pressure in my office of about 175/85, and those patients give me the heebie-jeebies. They want to take a supplement, they do not want to take a prescription med, but that is a safety thing. A supplement is not going to touch that blood pressure. And so I'm gently pushing those patients to go see their primary care or their cardiologist, because a supplement is not going to touch that. And then once they get that down to a safe level, then somebody like myself can kind of work up and see, okay, what could be beneficial underlying and how can we have that goal of maybe getting off that medication if it's safe to do so, or how do we minimize having to add more? And then lastly, quality. Is the quality there and how do I know I trust it? So think of that three-legged stool. So the first leg of the stool, and the one that takes the most thought and questioning, the most favorite thing I do with patients, putting those health puzzle pieces together to figure out the best path. And that indication piece is kind of fun to go through. What is your health goal? Do you want better energy, improved libido, weight loss? Do you want better sleep? Is there a supplement for that? Health history. What is your diet like? Are you vegan or vegetarian? Are you missing a nutrient in your diet because of one of those diet plans? Do you follow a dairy-free or a gluten-free diet? What nutrients do you need to keep on your radar that could get deficient over time that you might need to supplement with in your diet? What about medications? If you're on a medication for more than 3 months, over time that medication can deplete specific nutrients, and we're gonna learn some of those. Questioning. So when I go over something called review of systems with patients, it's a bunch of yes-no questions. And a lot of mine have to do with nutrient-related deficiencies. Do you get canker sores? Do you have restless sleep? Gosh, are you tossing and turning at night? Sometimes that's an iron deficiency thing. Leg cramps, Charlie horses. What about that eye twitch? That's a magnesium symptom sometimes. Easy bruising. Do you get that tingling in the fingers and toes? And then when I see patients in office, some physical exam findings. Do I see that they have those bumps on the back of their arm? That can signal a vitamin A or an essential fatty acid deficiency. What about those white spots on nails? This is one you could do right now. If you push on the front of your tibia, the shin bone right here, is it tender? If you're really vitamin D deficient, that is going to be tender. If you're just kind of, you might not notice it. And then finally, labs. It's not uncommon for me to want to check labs, and especially nutrient labs on patients. And this can help me determine if a supplement's going to benefit that patient. So let's dig down a bit deeper in the understanding that prescription medications over time can deplete really important nutrients. And this is important because most providers are not taught that this can be a big deal. And by the time a medication has depleted a nutrient, just simply trying to get it in your diet oftentimes isn't enough, and you need that supplement to boost it. And so here's a list of common medications that women might take. One of the top prescribed medications over the past probably 5 years is acid-suppressing drugs, things like Nexium, Prilosec, Prevacid. Over time, people can get deficient in magnesium and B12. Women on oral contraception or hormonal replacement therapy, over time, those can deplete B vitamins and magnesium. Statins, super popular medication. Those block an enzyme in your body that inhibits the ability of the body to make something called coenzyme Q10, or you've probably seen it on the shelf as CoQ10. Super important if you want your cells to be able to make energy. And then also statins can deplete vitamin D. And then metformin, if I have a favorite medication, but I kind of am a fan of metformin, but over time, this blood sugar regulating medication will deplete B12. So this cute little dog, I had this same dog growing up, and his name was Eddie, and he was naughty. One time, he jumped up on the counter and he swallowed a whole corn on the cob, and he survived. But Eddie is digging a hole in this person's backyard. And this is how I explain it to patients, especially related to B12. There's so many things that have to go right to keep your B12 status optimal. And you just trying to get B12 in your diet is like you trying to fill up that hole that Eddie dug with a teaspoon of dirt. You gotta do shovels of dirt, and that's where a supplement, especially a high quality and the right dose, is gonna fill in that hole. And B12 has so many health benefits. If you are fatigued, get your level tested. And a couple of secret tidbits. If you're gonna have a nutrient level done, like you talk your doctor into checking it, make sure you stop your multivitamin ahead of that test. You want to have like a washout period of time so that it's not going to falsely elevate that level. So that second leg of the stool, is it safe for me to be on this supplement? Generally, supplements, they have safe profiles, but there's some things you got to be aware of. I get a lot of referrals from our medical oncologists at our cancer center who are fabulous, and they understand that patients want to take supplements or they're asking about supplements. And so those medical oncologists send patients so we make sure that their supplement list is not going to interact with their regimens. If they're on chemotherapy, there's a lot of interactions we have to be worried about. So one of them is tamoxifen. I guess I'll kind of go off on a tangent. If you've been diagnosed with breast cancer, a lot of women are then on tamoxifen for many years after. There's a lot of medications, but also supplements that can disrupt the activation of that drug. And you don't want a woman to be going 5 years on an interaction. You want to get that full benefit of that medication. And then in addition to the safety aspect, do you understand the side effect profile that supplement could cause? And do all your providers know what you're taking? So let's look a bit further at the supplement interactions. Here's a list of 9 that I commonly mention to patients. I use all of these things with patients, all of these herbs and dietary supplements, but let's kind of pick out a few. Collagen. So collagen is one of the fastest rising dietary supplements on the market. It hasn't broached the top 10, but it's growing pretty speedily. I'm a huge fan of collagen. I have patients pick it up frequently, and I'm very specific on brand. But it's a great protein source. It mixes really great with protein smoothies, and it's hypoallergenic. Usually people just don't react to it. And then there's some small studies that maybe it's beneficial for skin, maybe it's good for bones, and so there's potential benefits there. But if you have a history of kidney stones, I don't want you on collagen. Kidney stones at higher dosages can increase the risk of stone formation. A lot of women don't know that. Iron. So most of you are women watching, but you want to make sure that your spouses and loved ones who are males are not on an iron supplement unless we prove that they need it. And the way we prove they need it is they need a blood level of their iron to make sure that it's low. Iron is dangerous, and most men do not need to take it. St. John's wort, we'll end on this one, but I found myself over the summer recommending St. John's wort more regularly. It's a natural, mild antidepressant. It actually works great to kind of boost that mood, but it also upregulates how the liver processes medications, which some people say, oh, great, that sounds like a great thing, but say you're a female on oral contraception, you do not want to get pregnant, and then I give you St. John's wort. That St. John's wort is going to eat up that birth control more quickly, and it's going to decrease that efficacy. And that gives me the heebie-jeebies. Those are things that I like stay awake at night, thinking about. So these are interactions that we just have to be more aware of. So looking back at the top 10 supplements patient might use, vitamin D is at the top of the list. And I commonly hear this question. I got a lot of emails over the summer about it. Can I just start taking vitamin D? My top recommendation is you need a blood level. You get that blood level tested. Ask your provider to order it. Understand that insurance doesn't always cover it, but if you have the health funds, get it tested. And then you can work with your provider to figure out the best dose for you. Just because you're in the sun as much as your spouse does not mean that your levels are the same. There's genetic variations. We use it up more quickly, and absorption is different in all of us. I commonly... If I'm going to get somebody started on a vitamin D supplement and I don't have their blood level, I'm okay with a 1,000 to 2,000 IU dose. But if you're really low, you need to go as high as 5 to 10,000 for a short period of time. But vitamin D is fat soluble. You can overdose on it. Fat soluble, basically, you don't pee it out like you do some of the B vitamins. You accumulate it over time. So don't just start taking high dosages for long periods of time without talking to your provider. Getting out in the sun for about 10 to 15 minutes will give you a nice burst. But like I said, I see patients who they mow lawns during the summer, all summer long, like that's their job, and their vitamin D levels are still low. So you can't always bank on purely sun exposure to keep those levels ideal. I think if we surveyed you right now and we said, what supplements are you taking, we would still see vitamin D on the top of the list, and we'd also see zinc. I wanted to mention that. I bet a bunch of you are taking zinc right now. So lastly, and equally as important, is quality. Am I taking what I think I'm taking? Nothing more and nothing less. And I think of this picture of these apples. And I tell patients that, do you want that brown, bruised apple? I think of those Instacart drivers who are picking out our produce now and dropping it off. We're gonna be mad if we get that brown apple. We want that red, plump apple. And the same in the supplement world. Does that manufacturer have high standards? Is that person making that supplement going through all the check marks, and can they even go a little bit further? Purity, is that supplement been tested and it's free of chemicals and contaminants? Does the supplement dissolve in enough time for the digestive tract to take it in? You could have the best, greatest, cleanest supplement, but those supplement machines, they pound all those nutrients in a tablet, and sometimes it doesn't break down in enough time for you to take it in. And so those are testing things that you want to already figure out before you start taking that supplement. And lastly, is the correct ingredient being used for your intended goal? And we're going to kind of fuss that out a little bit more. So here's an example of a visually appealing fish oil supplement. I've seen patients on this supplement, not in the last few years. I had to search, honestly, on the internet to find this picture. I'm thinking hopefully it's off the market now. But what's wrong with this supplement? It looks so pretty. It's got that USP label on it, which you're going to learn is a manufacturing checkbox to make sure that that company was doing all that they're supposed to be doing. But I can see the supplements. It's a clear bottle, and I can see that fish oil. General rule of thumb, ladies, do not take a supplement that you can see the pills through the bottle. Nutrients, and especially oils, will go rancid very quickly in light. And so when I've seen patients on the supplement, I get out my trash can again and I'm just like, throw it away. Get a supplement that's in a dark container. And some of you are gonna have questions, what about my gummies? Like most gummies I see now, they're in that clear bottle. And I don't know if the sugar in the gummy like preserves the nutrient, but my flags are up and I'm suspicious. I'm suspicious of gummy multivitamins in general. So what about trusting online retailers to do the quality control for us? That mindset of what can we get delivered quickly and with free shipping, and I'm guilty of this. I love Amazon. Amazon kept me alive, I feel like, these last 6 months. But we cannot trust that these companies are gonna do the quality control for us. And here's an example. In 2019, about a year ago, there was a very popular probiotic that was found to be counterfeit. It's called Align, if you've heard of it. The Align company was like, wait, we don't sell on Amazon. So they bought some up and did testing, and they found that it wasn't their product. And I think that's probably gonna be true a lot of cases until that quality control piece gets figured out. My caveat to that is there are certain companies that you can trust through Amazon, but it's hard for the consumer to figure that out. I commonly use that phrase of, when you're buying on Amazon, especially a third-party seller, I think of it like out of my uncle's garage. Like, is it in the right temperature? Is it price hiked? Is it gonna expire soon? So have those thoughts in your mind when you're ordering or decide to order. What about products that have been found to have drug components in them? Basically dietary supplements that are marketed as supplements, but then when they do the testing, they find that they actually have prescription drugs laced in there. Right before I came in, I just got a news release that brain boosting supplements are now starting to find that they're more tainted and have prescription drugs in them. So that's fresh off the press. But typically, the bad guys in this field are things in the sexual enhancement category, things in the weight loss supplement world, and things in the muscle building products category. So general rule of thumb, those supplements, my flags are up if you come in on one of those. And again, sometimes I'll grab my trash can and I'm just like, don't waste your money. There's other things to do. But there is a website you can go to on the FDA to look at all these tainted products. And I pulled some of the names off the website. So tell me if you think that these are fishy. Super Slimming, Macho Man, The Beast, Red Stallion. Like if you see these grandiose words, please don't buy it, or at least do your research to make sure that it's safe for you to take. Another secret, if you come to me and you bring a bottle in and it's a black container, it's got a black label, that's again one of my general no-nos. Something's probably wrong with it. Generally, I found that there is. That for some reason, black on black spells trouble for me. So purity and quality testing. There are organizations who do the third-party testing for us, and here are 3 popular ones. The best for probably consumer aspect is that Consumer Lab. If you go to live2020.com in the resources page, you'll find the links to these websites. But Consumer Lab is one that you can go to. For most of the things, you have to pay a small fee every year to get that data, but you can look up multivitamin. And basically this company they pull a bunch of popular multivitamins off the shelf, and they do the testing. They make sure it's going to dissolve when it's supposed to. They make sure that the label is accurate. And so let's do an example of that. So women have this question all the time, and I'll get on my high horse about calcium, but you go to the drugstore, you look at all the different calcium forms, and there's immediate overwhelm. Which one do I get? My doctor said, I'm starting to show bone loss. I'm supposed to take 1,200 milligrams. Which one do I purchase? So this is one that I see women on. They come to me bringing this bottle, and they are so proud because it's $10.99 for 500 tablets. Like, how can you not buy that one? And so if we look at the label, 600 milligrams of calcium, you have to get out your readers. That's the dose they need to take twice a day. But there's a problem with this one. And if you see that calcium, 600 milligrams, you should see behind it parentheses, and it should say, what kind of calcium? It's never just calcium. Calcium is always attached to something so that your digestive tract can take it in. And this company is not telling you that. And I don't think they're being facetious about it. You have to just kind of look a little bit deeper. So if you look in the ingredient list, it says calcium carbonate. You're gonna learn, any patient who's seen me as a patient, I am not a fan of calcium carbonate. That's one of the least absorbed forms of calcium. Don't waste your money. Calcium carbonate's gonna constipate most people instead of absorbing it and getting it to where you want it to go. What's interesting though is if you go to that Consumer Lab website, this calcium supplement passes all the tests. What it doesn't pass is, and what we don't have a resource for, is this product using the correct nutrient choice for the intended goal? And again, I'm going to argue that no, it doesn't. So same is true when we're reviewing a multivitamin, multimineral. So if you have that multivitamin bottle, grab it, get your readers out. I'm going to highlight some things on this label, but this is a popular women's one a day. It looks great. It looks pretty comprehensive. Is this a good quality supplement? I already did the work for you. I went to the Consumer Lab website. It passes quality control measures. It has that USP label, but pull out these 3 nutrients: B12, calcium, and magnesium. Again, put your flags up when it just says B12 and it doesn't tell you what kind of B12. Calcium, it doesn't tell you what kind of calcium, and same with magnesium. Those are 3 easy ones you can grab. So you gotta look at the ingredient list, and I highlighted those for you. So you'll see calcium carbonate. Oh no, Megan said that wasn't the one I should use. Magnesium oxide, again, I'll give you a cheat sheet in a few slides, but magnesium oxide is one of the most poorly absorbed forms of magnesium. So if you really want to get magnesium systemically, that's not the form you want. And then lastly, the B12 form that's most popular over the counter is something called cyanocobalamin. It's a synthetic form. Synthetic doesn't always mean bad, but 30 to 45% of the US population, they have trouble activating this synthetic form of B12 because of a genetic mutation. And so instead of asking patients to run an expensive genetic test, I just assume all of us are going to benefit from the activated form, and cyanocobalamin is not that form. So if your multivitamin doesn't tell you the specific forms, put your flag up. So ingredient selection, again, have you picked the correct nutrient form? You want to get the best apples for your pie. You don't want the brown apples, you want the red apples. If the recipe for your pie calls for baking soda, why would you use baking powder? So kind of think through that when you're picking a supplement. So here's a quick cheat sheet of the nutrient forms of popular supplements. Jot them down. I'll put it back up at the very end in a few slides if you want to make notes. But calcium citrate, generally that's a better absorbed form of calcium. When you take calcium, though, women, this is another mistake women make. You have to divide the calcium dosages up. You don't want to take that whole 1,000 or 1,200 milligrams all at once. We found that your body only really absorbs about 500 milligrams at a time. So kind of remember that tidbit. Magnesium oxide, again, that's one that I do not encourage. I just went to a drugstore in the last week to see what forms of magnesium they had, and every single one of them was magnesium oxide. So if your magnesium bottle just says magnesium on the front of the label, it's usually because it's this cheap, cost-effective form, but potentially not the one you're going to get benefit from. My favorite form of magnesium is magnesium glycinate, and magnesium is a fixer. Like if you're that tense muscles, spasming, think of like Charlie horses, that little eye twitch that sometimes bothers us, those are little signs that you could benefit from magnesium. And then that B12, again, I'm looking for the form methylcobalamin, a super hard to say long word, but jot it down. And if your multivitamin uses that, then I have those feel-good feelings about it. So decisions to take a supplement is very maze-like. And then actually choosing that supplement can feel overwhelming. And if it doesn't feel overwhelming, then you're not considering all the check boxes you should consider. So think of that three-legged stool when you're going through supplement selection. When properly indicated to your health plan, ruling out safety concerns and using a high-quality product, you're going to see big health rewards. Here's that cheat sheet that, jot those down. But thanks for joining me. If you have any questions, please use the LIV 2020 resource page and enjoy the rest of the sessions.